Aloha, I'm Miss Sands with the State Distance Learning Program. I'm the electives teacher for high school, and I wanted to show you all, if you're new to Canvas, how to go through the Getting Started modules. We call these the Getting Started because this is obviously it's the starting point. So we do want you to go through these because it helps eliminate questions that we answer for a lot of students. It also makes you more self-reliant, and it helps you to see the format for the course, and then you can ask us questions further on. So let's get busy. Okay, so what we're gonna do, like I have this getting started module in my advisory class. And just to remind you, you have your dashboard over here, and that shows you, oops, sorry. That shows you all of your classes. Okay, so you have all your classes here. Then you want to check your schedule to figure out when you're going to do that. Okay, so let's go back to this. So in your advisory class, let me go back to my student view. One thing we want you to do is change your picture up here. So I've got my advisory class, I've got home, and the home page is where you're going to look for any like static announcements, so our syllabus or any news that we want to just kind of stick around for a while. Okay, so we have a little video there, course description, and your schedule, and we'll talk about that in another video. Announcements is where you're going to see like weekly announcements, or it's kind of the announcements for all classes or all students in that class. And then you're going to click on modules. So the first thing we want you to do is to click on your getting started module. So you can see there's different modules here. So go look at your getting started. You also can find that by going to your grades. And when you look at grades, you'll see that these are assignments. Now, one thing you don't want to do is only go to your grades to find what you need to do, because these are just the things you're turning in. That's not the lesson. So you want to make sure you do the lesson that corresponds with that graded assignment. And then that way you know what you're going to be doing, right? So let's go back to that. So we got modules, and then we're going to go look for this getting started module. So it starts here, getting started. What are we going to do? Now, one thing I want to say is I'm going to go through all of the getting started sections. So you can pause at any time and do the section, or you can speed me up if you want. And then I'll put a link as to what the timestamp is for each thing. So this is just an overall view. What you will see up here is that there is a next and a previous, and that takes you to the next lesson. We're going to go here, next. And then this is your first activity. So your first activity is to go change your Canvas profile. Okay, so that's what you're going to do over here. So you're going to want to read the assignment. All the instructions are going to be in the assignment. And then if there's any links, you can go see the links, because you're self-aware, right? You're taking charge of your own learning. So you want to, check out how to do it first. And then if you have questions, you can ask the teacher. So what you're going to do here, it says steps. You're going to add a profile picture, follow that along. And then it says step 4, how to submit. Okay. And then sometimes there's a rubric. So I'm going to hit start assignment, and then I'm going to put a text entry. So if there's a text entry, it says here, this says to write done. Well, I haven't done mine, so I have to do it. And then I'm going to hit done. And then I would just say submit assignment. And then once you click submit assignment, you usually get like fun little confetti if you have it set up. Okay, so that's how to do getting started activity number 1. And then you'll see that it's submitted and it's going to go off my to-do list. Okay, stop. And we're going to go to G7, getting started, point 2, messaging your teacher. So this is getting started activity number 2, messaging your teacher. The purpose of this is to get you familiar with how to use the inbox over here. Now, one thing I suggest is that you have another canvas open. So you can have multiple canvases open. So I'm going to open another canvas, and oops, I got to do that. And then I'm going to go to my inbox. Okay, I'm not going to show you my inbox because I've got a lot of emails, but I'm going to go to my inbox so that if I don't have to leave the class that I'm working on. So you can have multiple things going on at the same time. So this activity, again, you want to look at the assignment overview. There might be a link that tells you how to do that. There might be a screenshot, and then it says steps. So you're going to follow along with the steps. And then it says step 2, compose and send your message. And then it tells you what exactly you're going to do. Okay, so this says to send your teacher a message. Now, sometimes every teacher might have this in your assignment, and that's because we want you to reach out to each person. Okay, so if you have one for advisory and math and ELA, and you're like, I've already done this, well, you didn't do it for that specific teacher, so make sure you get that done. And again, you're going to hit start assignment, and then just follow the instructions. This again, it says, you can say, I sent you an email. Yay. Hit submit. Make sure you don't hit next because that goes to the next lesson. Hit submit. Oops. It won't let me go. Okay, go back. It's because I'm in student view. But anyway, you would see something different. Okay, so now you have 2 assignments in getting started. So we've stopped getting started number 2. You can stop this video, and we're going to go on to getting started number 3. Okay, so thanks for coming back. We're on getting started number 3, which is a discussion. Now, how to do this discussion? Discussions are just that. It's an online discussion. So it'll say what you're going to do. So this tells you how to do it. And then here, remember, we're teaching you how to do these discussions. So if you don't know, you can click on this link, which will take you to an information. Okay, so here's our discussion prompt. There's always going to be a prompt. So this says, what grade are you in? Write something. So here are the instructions. Make a post, respond to 1 or 2 other students. It depends. And then you're going to look. Okay, so you see here, you don't have anyone to respond to yet because a lot of times the discussions are set up to like you have to reply first and then you can reply to other people. So I'm going to read my discussion prompt. What grade are you in? And sometimes what you can do is just copy this. It's a nice thing to do that because then you actually know. And then you can put that in there and then I can respond. Maybe I'll change my font. Okay, and then I'm going to say here. And if you need to attach something, sometimes the teacher might say, attach your math homework or something like that. And then you're going to hit reply. I think you can see it. Hit reply over here. And then once you hit reply, then look, you can see all these other discussions. Sorry, I forgot the words. So let's say your teacher says you have to reply to 1 or 2 other students to get the full points because it's all about creating community, right? So then you're going to look through and say, oh, okay, maybe I'm going to reply to these people. And if not, then you go back to your assignment. So that's the end for getting started number 3. And you can go ahead and stop. And then we're going to do getting started number 4 next. Okay, so let's look over how to do getting started number 4. Again, these are just little introduction to how to do assignments and how to look at modules. So this is text entry. How do we do a text entry? So the text entry I kind of already showed you. Again, you're going to read the instructions. And then there's always something on how to submit. Sometimes I know it can be confusing to read all of these words. And then you're like, what do I do? But always look for like how to submit. Sometimes there's a rubric. If there's a rubric, make sure you know like, oh, to get all 3 points, this is what I'm going to have to do. Okay, so now I got to hit start assignment. And then I'm going to read my instructions and it just says to type done. And then what do I do? Where do I hit submit? There it is, submit assignment. Okay, so that's getting started. Number 4. Oof, we've submitted that one. We're getting through these fast. So you're going to get through these assignments pretty quickly. It's just a practice for you. Okay, file upload and taking a quiz and view your grades are next. So if you need a break, go ahead and stop and resume. One thing I will note, is that you see these little red dashes? That means that these are past due. And you can see that because it's not September 6th. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is getting started. Point 5, activity file upload assignment. So you can go ahead and stop if you want and come back. So we're on to getting started. Number 5 activity, which is your file upload assignment. So again, you want to read the instructions on how to upload a file into Canvas. So here it says create a new document. It depends on the teacher. The teacher might just say upload a document you already have. But one thing you want to practice is downloading from a Google Doc. Okay, so make sure you know how to download from a Google Doc to your hard drive. Then you have to rename the Google Doc, and then you're going to upload. Now, there's different types of uploads. There's a Google Drive integration. So if there's a Google Drive integration, you follow this along, and all you do is copy and paste your file name into that link. If not, then it's something different. So again, we're going to hit start. And so here is if I want to do a file upload, I'm going to click file upload. I'm going to choose my file. I might just say that one just for kicks. As you notice, you could also do I might say add another file. Maybe your teacher says say something. I don't know, use your webcam. Okay, so you can add more than one file. The other thing you can do is this Google Drive. Okay, so Google Drive integration means that it's going to be seamless for that. So you're going to have to sign into your Google Drive with school. It's only connected to your school account. So if you're using a different account, you have to make sure you're using your school account. And then it's going to say select file. Then you go through your drive and you find it. It's not going to work for me here because I'm not in my school account. Okay, so I go back to file upload and I hit submit. Okay, so wow, that's getting started. Number 5 is all POW. So we're going to be going to the next one, which is getting started number 6. So if you would like to take a break, go for it and come right back. All right, the next one is over in modules. Again, I'm going to go down and find my getting started number 6. Now this is how to take a quiz. So, I should go back. Okay, so let me explain one other thing. When you look, there's different icons. So you see this rocket ship icon, that means it's a quiz. Most quizzes are auto graded by the computer, but not all of them are. And then if it's a paper, one of these kind of icons, that means that it's like just a page, like a lesson that you have to read. And then if it's a paper with a pencil, that means that it's some kind of activity you have to do, like a file upload or a text or a discussion, what we just saw. And then if it's I don't have an example here. If it's a hyperlink signal, that means that it's a lesson that you have to go through, like it's your textbook, right? So you want to make sure you go through that. Okay, so getting started number 6, taking a quiz. And this is just a quiz to make sure that you understand how to take a quiz and then also how to get through your modules. So then you just say, should only take 5 minutes, take the quiz. Now, one thing just to note in other classes, like, I teach Spanish and easy you can Google, right? But there's actually lessons or questions in the quizzes that are only found in the module or in the lessons. So you want to make sure that you're doing your lessons and you're taking your notes so that when you get to the quizzes, you can demonstrate that you understand what you've read and what you learned. It's not all about Google. And usually teachers, we can always figure out when someone is using Google to answer these quizzes and tests. Because why? Because we have other ways. We have discussions. We have other assignments where if it's not matching, you're getting 100% on quizzes and tests, but you're not getting 100% or an A on what you submit other ways, we're going to say like, what's going on here, right? So that's just a side note. So here it says how to take a quiz, and then you just answer the quiz, and then you can hit submit. Now make sure, see how here there's a question? You don't want to hit submit and only one question. You want to go to next. So you got to make sure you answer. Okay, so this quiz is set up so that each question shows up differently. So if I hit, I can go previous if I forgot to answer a question. Or I can go, if I hit submit, well, I've only answered 2 questions. It's going to say, oh no, make sure are you sure you want to do this? And then I hit submit. Okay. So now I only got 2 points. Now up here, it says possible points were 6. No time limit. There will be some quizzes that will have a time limit, and then allowed attempts. So some quizzes or tests only have 1 attempt. So you better do your studying and make sure you take your time. Don't just click through it. And then some others might have 2 attempts or 3 attempts. So if you do have multiple attempts, and let's say like I only got 2 points correct, then I'd want to go back and study before I retake the test, because that means I need some time, right? So how do I know what my grade was? Did it show me? Oh, look, this one is set up to show me what I got wrong. So I got this one wrong. So I'm going to have to be like, okay, I have to go back and study that. I got these wrong too. Okay, so again, if you are allowed to see what you got wrong, you want to make sure you go back and find the answers before you go take the test again. And remember, the questions will kind of change here and there, but the concepts are all the same. Okay, now you can also see here, all of a sudden I got a 1 next to my grades. Well, that means that this is an auto-graded exam. So the computer is just grading it for you, which meaning there's no gray zone. You got to get it right, or it's either right or wrong. So that's where you can see the difference, and I'll talk about grades later. All right, so we are done with getting started number 6. So you can pause and come back, and we'll get to GS.7, which GS.7 is viewing your grades. So we're going to do that next. All right, you're all back for GS7, viewing your grades. And this is pretty easy. Again, here's the thing that you want to do is you want to have that separate tab open, because if you are supposed to view your grades and start the assignment at the same time, you're going to be going back and forth. So that's not going to work very well. So I'm going to go back to, I have to set up my student view. So hang on a second. Oh, I still am in student view. Okay, so my assignment is to check my grades. So it goes through, how do I check my grades? I got to make sure I read that link. There's also instructions, lots of really good instructions here. And then submit. Okay, so here's my instruction is to write done. But you might have a teacher who says, write what you think about your grades. So let me look at my grades here. To find my grades, I'm going to go over to the side. And I can see these are the grades for me as a student. I can print the grades, and I can also calculate them. Okay, so see here it says total 16.7, like, oh no, I'm failing. But that's not true, because when you see a little T there, that's a text box that you submitted that the teacher still needs to grade. If you see a dash, that means that either you haven't submitted it, or again, the teacher needs to grade it. If you see here, if you see something over here, that usually means the teacher has submitted comments. This little icon means that you've submitted some kind of document. So even though you've submitted this work and you only have 1 grade so far, that's because this is the only computer graded thing. The rest the teacher has to do. Okay, so this is 1.6. I got 1 out of 6, and I'm like, oh no. Okay, so now that's cool thing you can do is you can go click in there and say, well, what would happen to my score if I got a 6? This is kind of helpful, like when you get, I shouldn't tell you this, but when you get later into the quarter, into the semester, like sometimes you're like, should I take the time to redo this test? You should always redo the test for learning, but sometimes it might not make a difference. So I went from an F to 100% just by retaking that test and getting 6 out of 6. And then you can see I have 3 other ones that I'm going to do. Okay, so that's viewing your grades. Now, how do I submit it? Well, remember I opened up a separate tab. So let's go back to that assignment. And it says here, once you've done this, write down any questions you have regarding your grades. And if you don't have any, say, I have no questions. So I got to submit, but I get lost, confused. Where is my submit button? It's always at the top. So start, and I'm going to say, I have no questions. Oops. The cool thing about the text editor is you can also insert images, change the font, insert hyperlinks and other things like that, videos. So you'll have different things. Okay, then you can hit submit. Okay, so now see I had 2 tabs open and I am done. Now let's go ahead and see my grade. Okay, so my grade didn't auto refresh. So I gotta click the refresh button. And remember, grades are live viewing. So even though you just submitted that, as long as you click the refresh button, you can see it's a text. Okay, so you've submitted it. It hasn't been graded yet because your teacher has to grade it. It'll take us a lot longer than a computer can grade things. Okay, now I have 2 more assignments, and I'm going to say, oh, how do I do this one? Okay, so 1.02. So like I said, you don't necessarily want to click straight into that assignment because there's nothing there, right? There's nothing says. So sometimes what you have to do instead is you have to go to the module. So I'm going to go to my other one, modules. Okay, so what I like to do is tell students to always look at the module or the assignment name to know what lesson. So it said 1.02. I'm going to look here, 1.02. And it says instructions. This is for the panorama survey, if you did it or not. And I'm going to say nope, and I'm going to submit it. Okay, and again, see now it says there are 2 grades that are just updated, and I can look back at my grades and I can see that it's now graded. And maybe I need to retake that test. How do I retake that test? I'm going to click back in there, and it tells me what I got correct. And I can't retake the test. So what would I have to do now is I would have to either write something in the comments to my teacher, but the best thing to do is email the teacher, because quite honestly, the only time we really see the comments is when we're grading. And often when there's computer graded tests, we're not going to read the comments. So always email your teacher if you're like, oh no, I actually clicked submit, or I didn't do very well on that test. Is there anything I can do? And always say what test you're talking about. Don't just say I didn't do very well on that test when we're like, there's hundreds of tests. Give us the exact amount. Okay, I think that's it. Let's see what else we've got. Going back to modules. I'm going down to getting started, and I did my viewing my grades. So we can say the only one I have, this, even though I messaged my teacher, it's still showing late, but that's because I'm the teacher. Okay, so we've learned how to do the grades, we learned how to read the modules. Now, one thing about, so let's stop. I'm going to go over how to do modules in the next lesson. So again, you can feel free to only watch certain parts of this video, and you can feel free to speed me up if you want. Okay, I hope that helped you all in the getting started. And again, if you have any questions about how to navigate Canvas, please email your advisory teacher or that whatever teacher you feel comfortable emailing. Okay,